Research reveals one sleep position used by millions over 60 that raises stroke and memory loss risk by 60%. If you sleep this way tonight, you are dangerously aging your brain. This mistake physically blocks your nightly cleaning cycle, a process that already slows as we age. Today, I'll show you the free shift to flush out toxins and protect your independence. No pills, just the science you need before it's too late. Here is something amazing that most people do not know about the human brain. While you are awake during the day, your brain is working incredibly hard. It is processing conversations, making decisions, remembering where you put your keys, and managing every single function in your body. That is a tremendous amount of work, and all of that work creates waste, tiny leftover particles and proteins that build up inside your brain like dust on a shelf. Now, here is where things get really interesting. Your brain has its own built-in cleaning system. Scientists call it the glymphatic system. Think of it like a tiny team of janitors that come in at night when your brain is finally at rest and sweep all of that built-up waste right out of your brain. They do most of their cleaning job when you are in your deepest sleep. This cleaning process is not just nice to have, it is absolutely necessary. If that waste does not get cleared out properly, night after night, year after year, it starts to pile up inside your brain. And one of the main things that can pile up is a sticky protein that researchers have linked to memory decline and other brain problems that tend to show up more after the age of 60. Now, here is the tension. The thing that should genuinely concern you. Research coming out of major universities and presented at some of the biggest brain health conferences in the world suggests that the position you sleep in can dramatically change how well that nightly cleaning crew does its job. One common sleeping position, one that many people over 60 actually prefer, may be actively interfering with this cleaning process while you sleep. So what is that position? We will get there very shortly. But first, let's understand why this matters so much more after you turn 60. Here is something that researchers have found, and it is worth sitting with for a moment. That nightly cleaning process we just talked about, your brain's built-in waste removal system, starts to slow down as you get older. Scientists suggest this slowdown can begin around middle age, sometimes even 15 to 20 years before a person notices any real signs of memory trouble. That means by the time you are in your 60s, your brain's cleaning crew is likely not as fast or as efficient as it used to be when you were in your 30s or 40s. Think about it this way. Imagine a drain in your kitchen sink. When you are young, it runs perfectly. Water flows freely. But over the years, buildup collects inside the pipe. Things slow down. Eventually, if nothing is done, the drain can get blocked. Now, your brain is not exactly a kitchen drain, of course, but the idea of things slowing down with age is very real when it comes to this internal cleaning process. And what does that slower cleanup mean in practice? It may mean that those waste proteins we talked about, the ones linked in research to memory problems and brain decline, have more opportunity to stick around inside the brain. They accumulate a little more each year. And over time, that accumulation can show up as mental fog, forgetting names more often, losing track of conversations, or struggling to remember things you used to know easily. Now, here is the payoff for this segment, and it is genuinely hopeful, because your brain's cleaning system becomes less efficient with age. The choices you make that either help or hurt that process become more important than ever. A younger person might get away with a bad habit or two because their brain can still compensate. But after 60, every small thing you do or do not do has a bigger impact on whether your brain stays sharp or starts to slip. That is why the sleeping position conversation is so important for people in your age group specifically. All right, let's talk about it directly. The sleeping position that researchers have been looking at very carefully, the one that may be associated with a higher risk of brain decline, is sleeping flat on your back. In the world of science, this is called the supine position. It simply means lying flat, face up, with your back on the mattress. Millions of people sleep this way every night. Many people say it feels comfortable. Some people slide into this position without even realizing it. And for a very long time, most people thought that sleeping on your back was actually fine, maybe even one of the better positions for your spine. But here is what the research is now suggesting. And this is where things get really thought-provoking. A study presented at the 2024 Alzheimer's Association International Conference looked at people with memory-related brain conditions and compared them to a healthy control group. The researchers tracked how long each person spent sleeping flat on their back each night. What they found was striking. The people who had brain-related conditions were spending notably more time, over 2 hours more per night, sleeping in the flat back position compared to the healthier group. This was not a tiny, random difference. It was a consistent pattern. And this was not the first time this pattern had been spotted. Earlier research, going back to 2015 and then a follow-up in 2019, pointed in the same direction. When people sleep flat on their back, the way blood and fluid move through the brain may not be as smooth as it could be. Some researchers suggest that the flat back position may make it harder for your brain's natural cleaning system to do its best work during the night. Essentially, the waste clearance may become less efficient when you are lying flat on your back. One study, done on animal subjects, also found that sleeping on the back was specifically less effective at clearing out a sticky protein that has been closely connected to brain decline. That same protein builds up more in older brains, which ties directly back to why this matters more after age 60. Now, a very important thing to understand here, and this is critical, is that researchers are careful to say this is an association. That means sleeping on your back is connected in studies to brain health concerns, but it has not been proven beyond all doubt that it directly causes those problems. Science always moves carefully, and that is a good thing. But the pattern showing up across multiple studies is consistent enough that brain health experts are now actively recommending people pay closer attention to their sleep position. Let's go a little deeper, because understanding the why behind this will make you take it much more seriously. During the day, your brain cells are constantly active. All of that activity naturally produces byproducts, leftover particles that float around in the fluid inside your brain. One of the most talked about of these particles is a sticky protein. When too much of it builds up over time, researchers have found it appears in the brains of people who go on to develop memory and thinking problems. Now, here is the extraordinary thing your brain does to prevent this buildup. When you fall into a deep, restful sleep, your brain cells actually shrink slightly, just a tiny bit, and this opens up more space between them. That extra space allows fluid to rush through your brain like a gentle wave, sweeping the waste products out and carrying them away from the brain entirely. It is one of the most beautiful and clever things your body does, and it happens completely without any effort on your part, as long as the conditions are right. Here is where sleeping position enters the picture in a direct way. Think of the fluid flowing through your brain almost like water flowing through a garden hose. The angle and position of that hose changes how well the water flows. Researchers have found that when the body is positioned on its side, the flow of that cleaning fluid through the brain may be more efficient. Some research has specifically pointed to side sleeping as supporting better movement of this fluid compared to lying flat on the back or even lying face down. When you lie flat on your back, blood drainage from the brain back to the heart may not be as smooth. Some experts suggest that this positional change in how blood and fluid move through the brain could reduce how effectively the nightly cleaning happens. Night after night, for years and years, that slightly less efficient cleaning could potentially add up. A January 2025 article from the American Heart Association put it plainly: there is reasonably good evidence that side sleeping, or sleeping with the head slightly elevated, is associated with a lower chance of brain-related decline compared to sleeping completely flat on the back. That is not a small statement. That comes from one of the most respected health organizations in the world. And here is something that connects even more dots. Sleeping flat on your back also tends to make a breathing problem called sleep apnea worse. Sleep apnea is when your breathing stops and starts repeatedly during the night. Most people who have this condition have much worse episodes when lying on their backs. And here's the troubling part. Sleep apnea is already connected to a higher risk of memory and thinking problems. When breathing is disrupted all night, your brain cannot get the deep, clean sleep it needs to complete that nightly waste removal process. The two problems feed into each other, and sleeping flat on your back can quietly make both worse at the same time. Let's step back for a moment and ask an honest question. Have you noticed that your memory is not quite what it was a few years ago? Maybe you forget names faster than you used to. Maybe you walk into a room and cannot remember why you went there. Maybe you feel a kind of mental fog in the mornings that takes a while to lift, even after a full night of sleep. These small signs are easy to brush off. It is tempting to blame getting older or being busier or having too much on your mind. And while there are many reasons memory can change with age, poor sleep quality, including poor sleep position, is one that often goes unexamined. Here is the uncomfortable tension. Most people do not know what position they sleep in for the majority of the night. You fall asleep in one position, but your body moves. For many people over 60, back sleeping becomes more common. It can happen partly because of changes in the body over the years, stiffness, back pain, or simply habit. And because you are asleep when it happens, you have no idea it is occurring. The payoff for this segment is awareness. You cannot fix something you do not know about. So here are some simple ways to find out how you are actually sleeping. The first and easiest way is to pay attention when you wake up. Right when your eyes open in the morning, before you move, notice your position. If you are flat on your back looking at the ceiling, that is a sign back sleeping may be your default. The second way is to ask someone who sleeps near you or who might check in on you during the night. A third option is that some common fitness wearables and phone apps now have features that can track your body position during sleep, and they can give you a much clearer picture. Here is the good news, and it is genuinely good news. Changing your sleep position is one of the most accessible, zero-cost lifestyle adjustments you can make. You do not need to buy anything special. You do not need a prescription. You do not need to wait for a doctor's appointment. You can start tonight. The position that sleep and brain health researchers consistently point to as potentially better for your brain is side sleeping. Lying on either your left side or your right side, rather than flat on your back, appears to support better movement of the brain's cleaning fluid and may reduce the kind of buildup that has been linked to memory decline over time. There is also some benefit to sleeping with your head slightly elevated. Not drastically, but even a small lift can help with both fluid movement through the brain and reducing those breathing interruptions we talked about earlier. Now, the realistic challenge here is that you cannot always control where you end up after hours of sleep. Your body moves on its own. So the goal is to set up your sleep environment in a way that makes it much harder to end up on your back. Here are some approaches that experts suggest can actually work. The first is using a body pillow, or placing regular pillows on either side of your body while you sleep. When you roll in your sleep, the pillow essentially stops you from completing the full roll onto your back, nudging you to stay on your side instead. Many people find this surprisingly effective after just a few nights of practice. The second approach is slightly less comfortable but remarkably practical. Place a rolled-up towel, a small firm cushion, or even a tennis ball in the back pocket of loose-fitting pajamas or a shirt. When you start to roll onto your back during sleep, the gentle pressure against your back creates just enough discomfort to shift you back to your side, without waking you up fully. The third thing is pillow support. One reason many people roll to their backs is that side sleeping can feel uncomfortable if your pillow does not properly support the space between your head and shoulder. Getting a pillow that fits the natural curve of your neck when you are on your side can make side sleeping feel much more natural and comfortable, making it easier for your body to stay there through the night. Here is something important to understand. Sleep position is one piece of the puzzle, but it works best when it is part of a broader approach to getting quality sleep. Research from the Mayo Clinic has suggested that long-term sleep trouble, meaning years of poor sleep, may be connected to a notably higher chance of developing thinking and memory problems. Sleep quality matters enormously for your brain, not just sleep quantity. So while changing your sleep position is a smart move, it is even more powerful when paired with a few other habits that support deep, restorative sleep. Keeping a consistent sleep schedule, going to bed and waking up at roughly the same time each day, helps your body stay in a rhythm that supports deeper sleep cycles. It is during those deeper cycles that most of the brain's nightly cleanup happens. If your sleep is fragmented, with lots of waking up or tossing and turning, the brain never gets into the deep mode where that cleaning process is most active. Keeping your room cool and dark is another simple adjustment that supports deeper sleep. A slightly cool room, most people find somewhere between 65 and 68 degrees Fahrenheit comfortable, helps the body transition more smoothly into the deeper stages of sleep. Reducing screen time in the hour before bed also matters more than many people realize. The kind of light that comes from phones and televisions can interfere with your body's natural signal that it is time to wind down for the night, making it harder to reach the deep sleep your brain needs. And staying hydrated during the day, not right before bed, which can disrupt sleep with nighttime bathroom trips, supports the overall fluid environment of your body, including in your brain. Let's be straightforward about something. The generation of people currently in their 60s, 70s, and beyond is the first generation with access to this level of detail about what sleep actually does inside the brain. The research on the brain's nightly cleaning system and its connection to memory is relatively new. Even 10 or 15 years ago, scientists did not fully understand how this process worked, let alone how body position during sleep could influence it. That means a lot of people spent decades sleeping on their backs without anyone ever suggesting it might matter. That is not anyone's fault. The information simply was not available. But now it is. And here is the critical tension. The longer a person waits to make even small adjustments to their sleep habits, the more years of potential buildup accumulate. The brain can be remarkably resilient, and many small changes over time can add up in a positive direction. But time does matter. The payoff is this: you are watching this video right now. That means you have the information, you have the awareness, and you have the ability to make one simple change tonight that could, over weeks and months and years of consistent side sleeping, contribute to a healthier, cleaner brain environment. Before we close, let's be clear and honest. Sleeping on your back does not guarantee that you will experience memory problems. The science here shows an association, a pattern that keeps showing up in research, not a definitive cause and effect proven beyond all question. There are people who sleep on their backs their entire lives and maintain sharp minds well into their 80s and beyond. What the research does suggest is that for most people, especially after 60, when the brain's natural cleaning system is already slower, side sleeping may offer a meaningful advantage. It is a low-effort, no-cost adjustment that may support your brain's ability to do the maintenance work it was designed to do. And in a world where maintaining mental sharpness as you age is one of the most important things you can invest in, an adjustment this simple is absolutely worth making. So let's bring it all together. Your brain has a natural cleaning system that works mostly at night, during deep sleep, sweeping out the waste that builds up during the day. After 60, that system naturally slows down. Sleeping flat on your back may further reduce how well that system works, according to multiple studies that have looked at this connection carefully. And sleeping on your side may help support better brain cleanup night after night. The solution is simple. Use pillows, a body pillow, or the tennis ball trick to help your body stay on its side through the night. Support your neck properly with the right pillow so side sleeping stays comfortable. And pair that position change with consistent quality sleep habits overall. One small change. Made consistently. Starting tonight. If this video gave you something to think about, share it with someone you care about, especially someone in their 60s or beyond who deserves to know this. There are people in your life right now who are sleeping on their backs every night without any idea that a simple shift could matter for their brain health. Drop a comment below and let us know. Are you a back sleeper? Have you tried switching to your side? We read every comment, and your experience could genuinely help someone else watching this. Take care of your brain tonight. It has been taking care of you your whole life.